Am I live? Hello, hello. I don't know if I'm live yet. Let me fix my sunglasses in case I need them. Let's see. I still see the wheel going on and on. Oh, and now I froze. And now I have a notification. This is so weird. First time I see a notification when I'm trying to go live. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me see if I can squeeze this window or actually make it bigger so that I can see the notifications. There's somebody coming in. Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm Rocio. I'm one of the group moderators and resident writing coach in Kathy's team, or on Kathy's team. Sorry, English, Spanish. I'm getting confused. And if you're listening live, can you please say hi? Maybe put an emoji or something so that I can see it. Pop it in the comments because sometimes I cannot see the reactions for some reason, and so that I know where you that you're tuned in. If you are not listening live and you are watching the replay, can you please comment with a hashtag team replay? That way we know that you watched us. That is always very encouraging. Today I come to you to talk about some topic that it's near and dear my heart because in many ways is something that I always have to work on. I titled it As We Break Value-Based Self-Maintenance. And as you listen to the live, it'll come together as to why I went with such a cryptic title. um, Let me just start with a few questions. What is your definition of self-maintenance? Some of you may know this as self-care. And I'm not totally in love with the term. That's why I prefer self-maintenance. Another question is, how does this self-maintenance or self-care practice that you have connect to your needs, to your basic needs, to other needs, and to your values, to our values? I told you this is the kind of thing that I try to always think about. That's why it lives near to my heart. So these questions that I just posted at the beginning they're gonna guide some of the conversation, I guess, monologues that I'm gonna have because it's only me until I see some comments. Um, and the theme is really inspired by conversations that I've been having with a bunch of people in our momentum program. We have this activity called momentum mindset, and unlike everything else that we offer at momentum, it's not so much about goal setting. This is about mind setting. And so in these conversations, and it's a very short meeting, you can ask anyone who's attended them. It's like 30 minutes at the beginning of the week, and we get to work on our mindset and tackle the week and really be in that framework to feel like we can do things and we can take on the world basically, which sometimes is possible, sometimes it's not. And so these weekly meetings are actually something that many of us cherish and that kind of like look into as reflection. Oh my God, Angela, you're here. I only see you here. Well, you see me here. I miss your face. All right, back to the topic. Sorry. So essentially, in these mindset meetings, again, not goal setting, but mind setting, we talk about different things, anything that can fuel and help push our writing and how we reconnect with our writing, how to improve our relationship with our writing. And really, it's all about how do we develop that consistency in our writing. And so last year, at some point, we touched up on a little bit of self care, self maintenance, and we reflected on how we use self care to refuel our writing and other containers, other tasks that we have, other people. And and with the conversation we really kind of like reflected on that and not just realized but really it sunk in how we have different definitions on what self-maintenance or self-care can mean for many different people, and because of those definitions and how attached or not we are to them, then the action that follows is very much in line with that. And so in a way, and just to remind each other, because this is a large group and this is going to go on YouTube, the term self-maintenance, self-care, really, it can be even controversial. I know we have a diverse audience. Some of you may have an aberration to this topic, some others not. Just keep listening. You might find a new perspective. A couple of weeks ago, in one of those momentum mindset meetings, we started entertaining the idea. One of the things that we talked about was how do we use writing as an expression of self-love and self-care, self-maintenance. I just prefer that term a little more. And that's something that it was part of the conversation and it resonated with some people. And then this week I actually said, okay, let's just zoom in a little bit more and dig deeper and really figure out what is it that grounds our view, our definition. And again, by default, that definition is going to impact our actions of this self-maintenance concept, and others call it self-care. um, So we did an exercise, and again, these are very short meetings, so these things kind of like get started, and then we keep going in different ways and directions and reflections. And the exercise was really all about reflecting so that we could connect our basic needs with self-maintenance or self-care, and then connect those also to our values. And there were so many things that were shared that I was like, okay, I need to bring this to the level of life, because it was very interesting, very fruitful conversations and reflections. And again, they continue, right? It's just a starting point. And so I wanted to post three thoughts to this audience to kind of like promote this conversation and really the grounding of our own self maintenance or self care practice. Again, thinking of the definition and what it means, that's going to feed into and really very much to the actions that go with that. And so the first one that I wanted to share with you is that in order to really start that grounding exercise, we need to start with the need, the basic needs. And as I tell also my mom, I know I love a momentum a lot. As I tell my momentum folks, I say focus, focus many times. And that's actually what I tell my children. In the whole idea is that it sounds funny and it's playful at the same time. You kind of go like, what? Oh yeah, focus. Okay, focus on the need. We need to ask ourselves, what are our needs? And sometimes they may seem like, oh yeah, we know, or we're well aware, and really sometimes we don't take the time to figure that out. So ask the questions and also listen to your own personal cues to figure out the answers. I'm gonna say three questions out loud. You may close your eyes if you wish, and just listen and then answer to yourself. What are my current emotional needs? And maybe a lot of things are going to pop into mind. What are my current emotional needs? Now, I want you to pick one, to really just center on what's the top one that right now, at this moment, what do I feel like I have as a current emotional need? And make a note of that. The next question is going to be, what are my current physical needs? And again, a bunch of different things are going to pop into mind. And I want you to just center on one. Pick the one that right now you feel like, okay, I need to center on this one. This one is my main priority in terms of physical needs today, right now. And the last question is, what are my current mental needs? Again, we have like a we do brainstorming ideas all the time. It almost feels like a second nature for many of us, particularly in academia. And so just center on one. Pick the one that to you feels like that's the one that you really need to focus on to keep on going. And so again, we're focusing on the needs. We're asking questions of ourselves that we may know the answer, we may think we know the answers, but we want those answers to be noted somewhere in our minds, in our hearts, in a piece of paper, a drawing. The second thing that I wanted to share is that we also want to start connecting dots. And in terms of connecting dots, you want to focus on connecting the dots between, or making the connections between these stronger. The actions, the feelings, and the values. And so part of this exercise that we did yesterday with the Momentum Mindset folks was to think of a time when we engaged on something that we would label as self-care, self-maintenance, any activity, whatever pops into mind. And then, and that's the action itself, right? And so then we would start thinking about three words, the three top words that come into mind, on how we felt while we were doing that action. And so that's the feelings. So we're connecting the action to the feelings. And then we will go a step further, and also part of the exercise was to think of the three words that we labeled as these are the feelings that I'm feeling, and connect them to our personal values, whether they were connected or not, associated or not, in some way, shape, or form to our values. And so the idea with this part of the exercise was really to reflect, and then later we did some commitments too. How do we honor our personal values through our actions? And in this case, it was, the self-maintenance concept. We kind of followed some of these steps for other things. So that was the second point. The third point that I wanted to bring to you was that in order to really start grounding our practice, in this case, self-maintenance, self-care, we need to complete and continue the circle. So the first thing was basically figure out the needs and kind of like focus on that, center those. Then connect those dots, connect the actions and the feelings and the values, and then to really have this value-based practice of self-maintenance, we need to complete that, and basically that requires awareness and reflection. And to tell you the truth, that's something that I'm currently working on because I don't reflect enough, and that's actually my work for this year: reflection. How do I make sure that I honor that part, that action, that exercise in my life? And so for self maintenance, which again, you may also call it self care, something that I want you to think about in completing the circle and making these connections is that it's not a band aid in any ways, in some ways, many ways. It's not a quick fix. It's in fact a way to also dig deeper into our needs and our feelings, and then see how they actually connect, not just to our values, but, you know, find where within ourselves we have a little bit of breakage and live that breakage. And what do I mean by breakage? I mean that in many ways, many of us are a little broken. And that's something that probably is not a surprise to many of you. I know it's not a surprise for me. Sometimes we're a lot broken, and it could be us, it could be the circumstances. And the thing is that we have to, you know, we have to figure out, are we at a stage where we can put together these pieces of our breakage? Or are we at a place where we just have to be aware that they're there and just think of why is it that, we're a little broken? What is missing? What is too much that just allow the thing to completely blow up and break? And it may not be a time for you to put the pieces together, but the awareness and reflection in this exercise is going to really nourish your path. And so again, the awareness and reflection is that you're going to go from the basic needs of figuring what those are, and then to connect the dots, and then come back to this full circle. Some of those actions, the reflections that you're going to do, are actually going to maybe make you feel a little bit more broken, make us feel a little bit more broken, and that's okay. And the idea is that we want to explore the feelings, both good and not so good, kind of like sit in with them and reflect what's going on there. You can do this alone. If you need a therapist and you have one already, that's also something that you can look into. You really want to use anything that works, any of the tools that you have at your disposal. And that's the whole point, because, as we go back to the needs and we reflect, we take a little action. Sometimes that action is inaction. All of these connections are going to make themselves stronger and make us stronger as well. And really, that's what matters. We have to connect the dots. We have to go back to, ideally, to what is us, and what is us and our values and our personal philosophy is going to impact others around us, our students, our family, anything, anyone around us. And so that's part of the idea of closing the circle, because it may seem like you're focusing on just you and what's inside, but in reality, that's really what's impacting everything else on the outside. So before I summarize, I just want to repeat two things of all the things that I shared today. This topic is, in many ways, and for many others, something that requires a lot of awareness and time to reflect. It can be controversial, the whole idea of self-care and self-maintenance. That's probably partly why I like self-maintenance as a way to call it, rather than what we traditionally think of self-care, at least in the USA. And it's a process. And so I want us to start thinking about the process and the value of the process and how important that is, and not just the outcome. So the process is just as important as the outcome. The other thing that I wanted to repeat is that awareness and reflections are key for this, and any exercise really. um, and they can make us feel the breakage just a little bit more. So be aware of that. Use your resources to tackle all of these things accordingly. um, and having said that, remember that the whole point of the content that I shared today is really to help us prioritize and focus, so that we can really create the lives and the careers, and again, the lives that we want to create. And so, in this short life, we talked about how to create a value-based self-maintenance practice, in the three steps that can help us do that. I mentioned a lot about, this momentum mindset activity that we do within the momentum program. If you're curious about it, I think I have a live before that. I might be able to copy the link and post it here, just so you know. That is one of the programs that we offer in Kathy's team, or Kathy Maysack LLC. But at the same time, it's the one that is attached to a practice that I know I have used throughout my career, inside and outside academia, as a lifeline for connection, for community, for being the scholar and the person that I want to be in many ways. And so I know it sounds cheesy, but trust me, I can talk about it for ages. And that's partly why I'm attached to this program. If it's one form of co-writing, what we do in Momentum, there are many ways of co-writing. So if you're interested in that, just check I think I can put it in the reply, and kind of like add some links and things in case you're curious, you want to just browse through it. So anyway, thank you so much for having me, Angela. If you're still listening, it was so lovely to see you. I know, or used to see me, but I will reach out soon. And thank you again for listening. I will see you all later. And let's see. Oh yeah, I have to say goodbye and then wait like a second and then end the live, because otherwise it'll cut me. So have a great day. Bye.